What's going on? We are back. We are back. We are back with another travel Matic. No, Matic Mondays. Ooh, I'm tired. Matic Mondays live stream where we talk about all things remote work, digital nomad, travel, transferring your skills. You want to just take care of the kids and work at the same time, make that money. This is the place right here for you. So definitely like and subscribe if you know someone that can find this material very helpful. Send it to them. Tell them to check me out. Check Tiffany Sports and Heels out. We here for you, the people. And if you are returning, what's up? We are back. I think we missed because of the holiday or whatever, but
yeah, we missed it. Holiday week would have been our 2 week, but we missed it.
Right. We fell on the 4th or whatever. So we gave y'all that time off to spend with your family and your loved ones, shoot some fireworks, chill, whatever, hot dogs, hamburgers, or just no 4th of July because you black and you proud. And you like colonizer.
Because our 4th of July was in June.
Yes. So we're back though. But hello, Tiffany. How are you today?
Hello, Adrian. I am great. How are you?
Pretty good. I know you've been real hyped lately with your track and field and stuff.
Yeah, it's been some exciting meets I've watched. So we just had the U.S. Championships this past weekend. So I pretty much spent Friday, Saturday, and last night glued to my television watching the final. So yeah, I'm always going block everything else out to get my track in.
Yeah, Shakari was like, ripped me out the plastic. She took her wig off. I was like,
I know, right? The cameraman was wrong for zooming in on it though, while they was like at the starting line. He like zoomed in on it, like he's just laying there. But yeah, it was an exciting meet. It was some surprising outcomes, but I'm excited to see. It's an exciting meet in Jamaica too. So in the UK, so I'm excited to see what the world's going to bring for the World Championships next month in Budapest.
Right. Now I did want to ask you, like that Jamaican girl, she got the world record in a heat, not in the championship, right?
She don't have a world record. The world record is still held by Florence Griffith Joyner, as you all might know her as FloJo. She still holds the world record. She just ran an extremely fast time at 10:65. It's like the 5th fastest of all time. So it's not world record, but we're getting very close to world record times. And that was Sharika Jackson from Jamaica. But not quite world record yet. Yeah. I think world record is 10:49 or something. I have to look it up because
it's amazing.
It just seems so far away.
Yeah. That's surprising it's still up there.
It's 10:49. The closest we've had has been Elaine Thompson, who ran 10:54. She's also from Jamaica. Shelly Ann Fraser Price, also from Jamaica, has run 10:60, and Carmelita Jeter has run 10:64. She's from the U.S. She's now a track coach. She was at Alabama, and I can't remember where she's at now, but she's a track coach. But yeah, Marion Jones had the 5th fastest time, so Sharika Jackson tied with Marion Jones.
Okay.
And Shakari is right behind with the number 6 time at 10:71.
Right. Cool. Well, I wish those girls the best of luck.
Big things.
As long as they black and they running, I'm right behind them, supporting them. I like the Jamaican girls too. So, tonight we are going to talk about, just a mid-year. The year's going by so fast, man. Which that reminds me, I need to talk about a contractual obligations. My contract promised me in 6 months, but I doubt if they do that anyway. But nonetheless, I'm still remote, still pushing the remote wagon, and it's been pretty good. Thinking about looking at other opportunities soon, maybe at the top of the year. Um,
Yeah,
more,
I'm looking at an opportunity. In the, I'm looking at opportunity too.
yeah. But it's a lot of pushback for individuals to come back to the office, man. It's like they're trying a lot. I've read a lot of things. I've seen a lot of videos. Um, I'm just like why?
Well,
Productivity
we
is
know
up.
why. We know why.
Yeah, yeah. Control. They
Yeah.
want their pretty offices to be filled with people and all this um, craziness. Just a lot. But I
Yeah,
wanted to
I
show
think
you.
the old guard is still, they have a very, you know, those boomers have a very, closed minded way of thinking when it comes to the workforce, and they're not very, they didn't get to do it, so why should we get to do it? um,
Mhm.
I think the mentality is, and I just had this conversation actually with a colleague who is a boomer. It to me, the interesting part is the demographic split. Um, I see a lot more push from males wanting everyone back in the office. And when you ask them what do they miss or why do they want to be in the office, it's always the social stuff, the social aspect of it. They don't,
Mhm.
while they might mention productivity, it's usually like the third or fourth thing they mention. They don't ever say they get more work done. The first thing is, oh man, I miss coming in the office and talking to people. So it's like, so again, it's all about that social aspect that a lot of people don't use work for. Um, so yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. I wanted to show a video. I said I was going to save it for the show. Um, get your thoughts on it and the people in the chat. Like my guy BLB is here. Welcome.
Big deal,
Um,
big deal.
yeah, let me play this right quick here.
Okay.
My thing is spinning.
Believe it or not, it's been over 3 years since the pandemic.
Oh wow. Um, my internet is not internet.
Began, and many companies are still struggling to get
You know what? I may have to switch something.
employees to come back to the office. A survey conducted last.
Ah, I'm gonna have to switch something. Um, sorry about that, people. But anyway, they were mentioning that um, they were offering incentives for people to come in the office, such as donations, office perks, for as like happy hour. Um, what else? The donations were like $10 to your favorite charity. What else? Another bonuses. I don't know what the bonuses was going to actually break out to, but just throwing all kind of things to entice you to come back in the office. So
Just to
I'm
see
like,
what sticks, huh? Everything but just let people work from wherever they can get the work done.
right, um, which wasn't good. I mean, people still
No.
are not.
Can you imagine? Like, I'll give $10 to my favorite charity if I can continue to work remotely. Like, why do I have to, you know, why? And it's $10. Like, that's not
Yeah,
an incentive. Like, you should be doing that
$10.
anyway. We should be as an organization invested in philanthropy. I can never say that word.
Philanthropy.
Yeah, I still can't say it. We should be as an organization. It's just one of those words. You know, everybody got that word. And for me, it's that word. We should be invested in that anyway. So the idea that $10 is enough as an incentive to commute 40 minutes a day in traffic twice a day to be in the office is asinine. If your corporation is doing that and it's just a good thing that I'm a contractor, because if my company told me that, I would probably have something to say about that.
Right. I do like, because I know I heard an article about or a video about Biden was really big about having people come back into the office.
Biden is 90-something years old. I don't care what 90-something-year-old people want me to do. They're not even in the office every day. So I'm not listening to them. If you're not in the office every day, why I got to be in the office every day?
Right. Kind of pushing that agenda. So, but in the federal space, that is one of the most secured work from home environment. A lot of the offices there shutting down because of just to save money or whatever, help with spending. They're shutting down a lot of offices that are not open. So it's pushing people more to the work from home lifestyle because of that. So
I think I've always said I think it should be an option. If that work in the office lifestyle fits you, because there are people who are big advocates for it, they really want it, then I think they should have the option. But I think it should be an optional thing. I don't think it should be a requirement. If you want to come in the office and work every day or 2 days a week or whatever it is that you want to do, okay. But if you're in a position that doesn't require you to be in office facing every day, you should have the option to not go in.
Right. I don't know. I mean, they in the video, if it would have been playing, they were saying that they didn't think that it would. I don't know why you wouldn't think working from home was going to be a hard return or release from going back to the office. I don't see how.
I think a lot of people don't like their home. The people who think that don't like their home situation. They don't like their home situation.
There's a lot of people like that.
I can't speak for them. I can't speak for them. But if you have an area at home where you feel like you get more work done and it's less stress on you to have to commute and be in the office, then I think it should be allowed.
Right. I think it's with I am a co-parent situation. You not on the other hand, but there's a lot of families, there's a lot of married people, and the ability to escape the house is like gold to some people. Escape the kid, escape the wife or the husband. Because a lot of people miss their work wives and stuff. You know what I'm saying? So,
okay, well then go back to work with your work wife. But I shouldn't have to come back into the office because you don't like where you live at, or because you don't like your home situation.
Right. I miss my work wife, man. I miss mine.
See,
I tell him, hey man, I understand.
I've never had a work husband ever.
I understand. Yeah,
not because there's anything wrong with me. Just I don't socialize at work, y'all. I don't.
my old recruiter lady, my A1 Day One recruiter, she was talking about that. She was using that as like a incentive, like with this one contract that was going in the office. She's like, well, it could be a lot of pretty women. I was like, man, I don't care nothing about.
Nobody cares about that. I don't care. I've been working with places where there's some attractive men working there. But But I don't see work as a pool of. I am a true work is work, and then outside of work is your real life. And so I don't even. I've never integrated the two into one. Like no, like no, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not.
Well, you
My
know
my
that.
friendship pool has come from people I have one person in my whole life that infiltrated past my work into my personal life. One. I've
Yeah.
been in the workforce a
I
long
think we need
time.
to do a show on that too. Where is your work wife? Because you know,
Oh
remote
Lord.
workers. Where is your work? Where is your work
Probably
spouse
where her real probably where her real husband. That's where she at.
now? Remote working. Where is your work spouse now? I may do that.
But if you remote working and you have a work wife, y'all can still communicate. It ain't like you can't communicate. There's still
Nah,
teams.
yes, that's
There's
when you
still
keep it
snagging.
messy.
Y'all can still meet. Y'all can
That's when
still
you
meet
keep
at the coffee shop and work from the coffee shop, the library, the bookstore.
that's how you keep it messy, man. That's how you keep it
Part.
messy.
Don't act like work wives and work husbands aren't messy. Y'all are. That's why y'all be missing them.
That's a safe place at the job.
Yeah.
No
Safe, safe,
problem.
to, safe to be messy.
Everybody missing their work
And that's why
lives.
you laughing because you know I'm telling the truth. It's a safe place to be messy. Y'all messy, man. I don't know how y'all do it.
Right. I'm telling you. I'm telling
You
you, a
send
lot of people miss their
a
work
message to
lives,
your
man.
work wife, like just to let you know I've been thinking about you a lot lately.
Flowers pop up at the house and stuff. You know, where these flowers come from, babe?
That's why y'all be getting caught up. I miss our lunches.
Yes. Miss
How you
them
used to how you
lunches,
used to
man.
bring me how you used to bring me lunches. Y'all messy. That's why I like it. Y'all like that messy stuff. Let's go. I miss going to the fish joint with you.
Yes.
Work is
Yes.
work. That's why I
I
never
miss
had
that
one.
time. I miss that times in the car doing lunch
In the
break.
car, what?
In the car,
Being
just chilling
messy.
in the lunch
Yeah,
break. In the
sure.
lunch break.
Sure. Sure.
You know when you done got your food and then you come back and y'all just sit in the car, eat your food and stuff. You like, you know, she tell
No.
you all about
See?
how he
Dave, don't come in. Dave, don't come in this chat room. Coast
he,
and hyping Adrian up with that. That's not funny.
right.
Where's your work spouse now? That is not funny, Dave. Absolutely
I'm
not.
telling you. Yeah, and BLB says I seem to be friends with all the potheads and party people at all the jobs, even though I'm not on that type of time. The straight laced people don't befriend me, aka Ted and the counter. Yeah.
Brown Liquor Baron, your name is Brown Liquor Baron. You want me to believe that you are straight laced? I don't believe it. Not one bit.
Hey, I'm telling you, like them no, but seeing IT and stuff like that, you rarely come. I mean, you get some work, but in them call centers, boy, them call centers be having them in there, boy. But
Having what?
you know, be having them things.
Oh Lord. See? Y'all might be on the wrong thing. That's why I'm glad they had remote working. Y'all can't get in contact with no work wives.
I don't
Just
ever want to go back to no call center, boy.
y'all
Call center, like
that's what help desk is, a call center for help desk.
right, any call center. I don't care if it's IT sales, anywhere where they on a phone, they on a metered system, they on a dialer, all of them in there. There don't be nothing but women in there. Don't be nothing but women in there.
I know I worked in the call center too. We had very few guys.
All the heterosexual dudes in there racking up, boy. Telling you, because there'd be a few gay dudes in there. There'd be a few older cats that acting like they pimps, and then they'd be like, you know, like the middle-aged heterosexual dude. They'd either be married or not married, and then they be the ones be racking up, boy. Or the dude in the mail room. Dude in the mail room, he be knocking down, boy. He'd be like, woo.
Well, usually because the dude in the mail room is built like a bodybuilder or something. So
yeah, he was a former trapper. He used to trap back in the day. He still got that. He got that.
Yeah, he got that little edge, and the girls who kind of like be good and come out work in the call center be attracted to that because he do be attracted because he like the bad boy. Yes, I know.
And he may have like a one gold front, like on this. He dreads. He probably got some dreads too. Yeah,
I wouldn't know anything about that.
He knocking them down. But yeah,
the call center girl broke his heart.
Yeah, but you know nothing about that straight. You're straight. Like,
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh at that, yeah. BLB. You said call center girl broke your heart. Because we know what that means. Like, we know what call center girl means.
But yeah, but you know, that's enough of the mid-year remote review. Let's go on to apply or skip it. Now, okay. You know, what I did was I was on LinkedIn. I saw something very interesting. A few things I saw on LinkedIn a few days ago, but I saw where this girl posted this little meme here: ignoring 3 to 5 years experience preferred and applying for the job anyway. What do you think about that? Ignoring the experience.
I ignore experience when I'm applying for a job. I don't even pay attention to that.
You talking about this?
No. But there are, you know, especially when I was doing, when I was moving from one role to another role. Like, for example, when I moved from project coordinator to Scrum Master, I'd never been a Scrum Master before. I didn't know much about being a Scrum Master. I was a project coordinator. But I applied for several Scrum Master positions and project manager positions, knowing that I didn't necessarily qualify. Do you want to know why I did that? Because one, the main reason is I went to a Women in Tech conference and actually I won a scholarship through Google, and Google paid an all expense paid for me to attend the Grace Hopper Women in Technology conference. And that conference wound up being life-changing for a couple of reasons. And one of the reasons is what they said at this conference about how women apply for jobs. Typically, women will look at the qualifications and the requirements and say there's 10. If they've got 3 that they can't do or are not qualified to do or haven't done before, they won't apply for the role, right? Where men will apply for a role regardless of their level of experience. So I started applying for jobs that I did not have experience at and would get interviews. So I learned that they're not always looking for that person that has 3 to 5. Yes, there are exceptions, and there are those, you know, I could have been an exception because I know how to write my resume. I know how to, you know, when speaking in an interview, I know how to equate what I've been doing for what they're looking for. But my percentage of applying for things that I didn't necessarily qualify for went up exponentially when I heard that little piece of information. Because what I did notice is the roles that I was applying for, I was being told I was overqualified for. You've got 5 years experience at one role. At some point, they're going to start wondering why you haven't moved to a higher role. And I even started getting asked that in interviews on the roles that I knew I qualified for. So my advice is, it's not really about what they write down, because to be honest with you, it's just like a Christmas list. They write down what they wish they could get if they were to go out shopping and look for the ideal candidate. And instead of that, I present a case on why I would be best to fit in that role. And I cater my resume according to what they actually are asking that they need, right? So yes, I believe you apply. You never skip a job opportunity that you know that you can perform based upon not having 3 to 5 years experience. You block your own blessings when you do that.
Yeah, I do believe that. Because I had this thought, it was really interesting to me about it, was that a lot of people that I may mentor or think about, talking to, they always say, you know, or I see people on Instagram and they, you know, transfer your skills, and most people they be like, but they be wanting 5 to 7 years experience to be a program manager or a project manager. I see that all the time. So that brought me to another post which I can't find, but this guy on LinkedIn said that, that's what I wanted to get your thoughts on. 90% of the jobs someone can train you on. So like, do you think 90% of the jobs that you see out right now that you can actually be trained on?
I don't know if 90%, if that is a percentage I would be comfortable with, but I would agree that a majority of the roles that you see available, if it's not a specialty, I mean, obviously somebody walking off the street can't be a surgeon, right?
Right.
Or, go into a courtroom and defend a criminal, or, help you with your real estate planning. I think there's a level of expertise that comes with certain fields. But generally speaking, there are more functional type roles, not technical roles, that you can be taught, right?
Right.
And learning those functional roles can lead to learning more technical type things. So yes,
Mm-hmm.
I believe a high percentage can be taught. And I especially think that when I think about all these organizations who go out and get college kids as interns, or hire fresh out of graduating, those kids don't necessarily have experience, but you know what they are? They're palatable, they're moldable, and they can turn them into their idea employees. They know they have a foundation of learning, right? And I've had before I had got my degree. So those who don't know, I didn't get my college degree completed until 2020. Um, and in between that time, I would interview for different roles. And the one comment I kept getting regarding me not having my college degree is, they want you to show, the only reason they want you to have a degree is to show that you can learn and complete something. So college kids who are fresh into the market, if they get an opportunity to work for a company, it's because that company, and I've seen this I've been on the HR side, they're looking for people that they can turn into their ideal employees, right? They know that they're young, they know that they're inexperienced, but they know that they have people who are capable of mentoring them, or they can tell them how to actually do the job. Companies, especially in IT, companies like Accenture, consulting companies, they will hire in. They have programs where they hire these kids straight off the street and teach them how to be a consultant. So yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of roles can be taught, versus you having to come in with that experience. Think about all the programming. I mean, BLB says programming. Yeah, programming boot camps, all the coding boot camps. They're teaching you how to do the job, right? Without having to have that 3 to 5 years experience. So yes.
Right. Actually, this is what I saw. I found it now. Da, da, da. And this did spark off. It was like 99% of all jobs can be taught. Give people a chance. That's what it was. And this definitely sparked off a lot of
Those my job can't be taught people.
Right. Um, like this guy says, I've applied to over 200 job postings in the last 40 days. I have 5 interviews, 0 offers, and countless rejections. Furthermore, as a recruiter, I can see now that there are indeed many recruiters who have no consideration for their candidates. They disappear. That they do disappear. Dumb motherfuckers.
They'll get your resume, be like, and then a year later, I saw in our database that we had an opportunity that might match. No.
Yeah, I got to tell a story of they don't reciprocate the same, because they don't like it when you do it to them. You remember when I told you that I told a guy that I accepted an offer, and to his manager, and this recruiter called me back and was like, I just talked to you yesterday and you didn't tell me you accepted an offer. It, like, if I had the chance to think of one recruiter that called me back and said, they didn't go with you, whatever. That happens very few times, but most times you'll never hear from them after they've, got your information, they set you up for the interview. They call you all day before the interview. You're gonna be on time. You're gonna be there. You're gonna make sure your camera's on. Blah 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 blah.
Or the pre-interview before the interview when they want to make sure you know how to use the camera and ask you some questions. Yeah.
Yes, but when it's over and they haven't picked from you, man, you don't never hear nothing from them. But that dude had the nerve to call me, and my manager told me you told him that you accepted an offer. You didn't tell. I said, boy, if I can come through this phone and slap you, I don't deserve to tell you anything. And he was just like, and I actually blocked him. I have to block a few recruiters. They just that grimy sometimes.
Yeah, I've had to, because they email and then within 5 seconds of sending the email, they call, and it's like, my favorite are the recruiters who want you to come on site and it's like 6 hours away. Like, well, you wouldn't be able to come you wouldn't be able to commute 6 hours for 2 days a week. No. And so my question to them is, would you commute 6 hours? Twice a week?
Right.
Guess not.
It's crazy. I don't understand it, but yeah, it's things that you think about. But
yeah, I would agree that a lot of jobs could be taught. It's unfortunate that we're requiring experience in certain things and then not giving people the opportunity to actually gain that experience. It's really roulette. And I've been on that side where you've applied to 200, 300, 400 jobs and no one's responding. Recruiters are not, they're ghosting you or being dishonest, or you're just not getting the kind of response offers that you would have because it's just really competitive. And so I've been on that side. I know how frustrating that could be. But you just got to keep putting yourself out there and find ways to show that your experience in other areas, how it can still be beneficial to them.
Yeah. And using certain projects that you may have did in college, that's all experience. Just finding ways to get that experience and showcasing it on your resume.
Yeah, if you've led a youth group or something like that, like, I'm not telling you to lie, because when you get to a certain point in interview, it's always, if you lied, it's always going to come out. But I think a lot of people need to start thinking outside the box on how they do what people are asking for in their everyday lives or in their previous experience, and be able to demonstrate that.
Yeah. But yeah, that's a common thing I see but what do I do on the experience? That's why I kind of wanted to see that other post I just showed, that 99% of the jobs can be trained on. Like you can't have all these jobs and there are candidates that lack the experience but are eligible for those jobs.
I think people need to understand also is that it's not always that you don't have enough experience. It might also be that they want you, and we just talked about this, want you to hit the ground running. I can't even tell you how many contracts I've been on recently that there is no onboarding. Your onboarding is getting access to the systems. They want you in meetings day one. They want you taking notes or contributing to the team within the first couple of weeks. And it's difficult to teach somebody that if you're not able to demonstrate that you're a fast learner, that you pick up on things quickly. So it's not just that you don't have the experience. You may not have demonstrated that you can catch on quickly and become an immediate contributor. And that's why I said making sure you identify your transferable skills that relates to what they're asking for, so that you can demonstrate that you're able to pick up things quickly. If you can demonstrate that in your resume, you're more apt to get a contact than you would not having that experience and not demonstrating at all.
Yeah. And I would like for people watching this video later or in the chat to come away with some takeaways, because we experienced that ourselves. I myself, and I'm trying to think back to all the stuff that I did in order to get that experience, and it wasn't like tangible experience, but it was like I remember when I was trying to learn Teradata, which is a database. I actually paid $400 for this Indian-based class. It was like out of India too, so it was like crazy hours. I would have to attend these classes for like 4 weekends or something like that, Saturday and Sunday, to learn SAP Teradata. Not SAP. I got SAP in my head. Teradata architecture. But it was by mistake I took this class, because I thought it was going to teach me SQL for Teradata, but it just taught me the architecture. But it came back to help me out tenfold on a project. So I was glad that I did take it. But like I tell people that I mentor in this IT stuff, is that you still have to know how to talk the talk, even if you do put a bogus resume together. How they catch you is that you can't talk it. You have it on paper, but you can't talk it. So when you're in those training modules and training environments, you're starting to learn the vernacular, you're starting to learn the terminology, and you're starting to, being able to have a discussion about Teradata databases, and talking about nodes, and talking about compiling SQL and the speed and all that stuff, capacity of your nodes or whatever. So you can be able to say, a person would be able, oh, okay, you do understand this somewhat. Yeah, I do, because I took the training class, but it wasn't really experience. So I did that, some seminars, a lot of YouTube. You have to get that experience in a very unorthodox way, is what I would tell anybody. Because
there's a level of self-learning. You substitute self-learning for what you lack in tangible experience, right? If you're demonstrating, you're demonstrating that you can be taught, that you're willing to learn the fundamentals and the theories behind it, and the methodology behind it. You just need to put it in practice. You're more apt to be looked at because you're demonstrating that via your resume, especially with certifications. I'm not a Scrum Master, but I've led meetings before. I've taken a Scrum Master certification, got certified. Doesn't mean I have 3 to 5 years of Scrum Master. No, but if you've organized meetings in any capacity in your work, in your job, whether it's working with a team or working one-on-one with somebody or whatever, and you've taken a certification, you can demonstrate that you have the capacity to come in and be an immediate impact on their teams by being a Scrum Master.
Right.
You can sell that. You can sell. You have your experience can sell that you're capable of doing the job. That's all you're really trying to do.
Right. Now, sometimes you can work around experience if you have these other two things. If you have the degree and the certifications, because the perfect candidate has all three. He has experience, certifications, and a degree. If you have those three, that, and a lot of people don't have those three. It's very few people that have those three.
I didn't have those three until 2020. I had certifications and I had a ton of experience, but I didn't have a degree. And maybe not so much now, but at that time, I was told it was a hindrance. We would love to have you, but you don't have a degree. Because you'd be surprised, a lot of companies, a lot of fields, especially like insurance and stuff like that, to be at certain levels require you to have a college degree.
Mm-hmm.
I've been told more than one time that was a barrier for me. Although let's be clear, I didn't make anything a barrier, y'all. I moved around it. I'm gonna find a way. But that was what I was told was a barrier. They're gonna tell you if it's a barrier or not. I just went around them because that's what I do. That's what we have to do.
But yeah, definitely. Girl, you put that right on the head. That's what we have to do.
Because that was their excuse, because they couldn't, experience wise, certification wise. I paid for my own certifications. Nobody paid for any of my certifications. All of them were all paid for by me. So no one could say I didn't have the initiative or didn't have the experience. It's exactly what you're looking for. But our company requires you to have a college degree.
But I'm telling you how much has evolved over time with that degree. Because when I graduated in the year 2001, that was a long time ago, when at that time they were really funny about what type of, not type, type or the school you came from, especially here in the South. If you went to Georgia, any SEC school, ACC school, you were golden. You went to a black school, they'd be like, Clark, Atlanta, where's that? Like, just in Atlanta. Like, what the, oh, okay. They would really frown on black college degrees, HBCU degrees, or whatever. Now it's just like, hey man, what? As long as you got something, like, no matter where it's from, how you got it, if it got your name on it, you good. If it was criminal justice, you good. African American studies, you good. You can get into IT or whatever. But before, like 20-something years ago, they used to be funny about if it wasn't computer science or some STEM type degree, they'd look at you funny.
Information technology.
Yeah, it had to be like one of them STEM type degrees. You couldn't just come in there with no basket weaving degree. No. But now,
I'm so mad at you.
You can get that basket weaving going on and get some IT money. But let's talk about our next topic, digital nomad drama. I should be able to play this now because I moved to.
So your cricket internet is working now.
Yeah. It should be. It'd be funny in my room and stuff. So let's see what the little lady has to talk about here.
A digital nomad, they tend to come from places like tech or digital marketing or the cesspool that is Raya. Most digital nomads come from wealthier countries and tend to go to places like Mexico City or Portugal or Thailand or Colombia or Costa Rica, among many, many others. But today I want to shit on your parade and get into why myself and lots of other people think that the remote work community is actually just another form of neocolonialism. So digital nomadism implies this sort of hybridism between tourism and immigration. And usually a remote worker will travel to a developing country where it's cheaper and obtain some sort of medium or long-term housing. And along with that, they'll usually become a part of a digital nomad or expat community, which is quite removed from the local community, even though they might be existing in the same space. And when I use the term expat, I just mean white immigrant. There's a 2023 survey that pegs the number of digital nomads living and working worldwide at 35 million, which is actually insane because that's the population of Canada. I personally think the popularity of the remote work lifestyle can be explained by two main things. The first is the huge global communication boom that happened in the early to mid 2000s. And the second is our human desire to try and find ways to reshape capitalism and work in ways that are going to suit us and our lifestyle and our goals, without actually having to change anything structurally and like imagine a different system, because that would be crazy, right? Couple that with the intense isolation from the COVID-19 pandemic, and you've basically got a whole cohort of people who are willing to travel across the world and set up camp somewhere else in some sort of attempt to practice self-determination. I found this really brilliant essay from this writer named Paris Marx, and it's called Digital Nomads Are Not the Future. And in it, he says that people who feel liberated from one space have no stake in improving the new space around them. To them, local communities are viewed simply as yet another co-working space. It basically implies that at the core of digital nomadism is this pseudo-spiritual practice of like radical self-discovery, which if you've ever seen a chick with a wanderlust tattoo, you know is not remotely radical. Moving to a foreign country just for fun and then not learning the local language is actually a way of othering the local residents, a term coined by Edward Said in the 70s. The other is different from you, separate from you. When you do have to interact with them, it's with a sense of novelty, not connection. What happens when people consider themselves to be spectators rather than participants of a new culture? I'll tell you, hierarchy. And it's this hierarchy that allows for expats and digital nomads and remote workers to feel comfortable forming their own closed communities. And if you're thinking, closed community, I like the sound of that. Well, that's extremely tacky. See you in part 2.
Okay, so I have a lot to say about what she said, but the first thing I'm gonna say is she wasn't talking about us. She wasn't talking about us. She wasn't talking about us. She made it very clear who she was talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And in some sense, I would agree that they are like that because they're like that here. That's how they are as people. They're not community-based people. We've talked to several people who are expats and or digital nomads, and every single one of them have said that they live amongst the community, that they live and interact with the community. Every single one of them. Not one of them have isolated themselves to where they're not a part of the community in which they have lived. As a matter of fact, we talked to several who have learned not only the language, but they've learned their neighborhood. They learn who their neighbors are and how they can trade amongst them and trade services and help themselves survive within that culture and within that company. So that's the first thing I want to say is she want to talk about us.
Right.
And the second thing I want to say is I find it so interesting that the idea of moving to another country and isolating yourself is old as colonialism. That's exactly what colonialism is. Move in, push out all who are local, and isolate yourself so you don't have to deal with the local. That's what it is. It's colonialism. Right. So that's all. Those are two things I have to say. She wasn't talking about us, and she wasn't talking about us.
Yeah, she definitely wasn't talking about us. You know, she even the passport brothers. They give back to the community with, a little exchange of services for money. You know what I'm saying, with the girls and stuff.
Long as y'all acknowledging that's what you're doing. Ain't nothing traditional about trading services or money. That's what you're doing. I mean, it's good. It's all good. You do what you do. Do what you do. But let's be clear. That's what you're doing.
They supporting the economy,
Yeah.
Little money exchange services.
Yeah. But as long as you recognize that it's not looking for no traditional. That we don't believe that. We know that's not true. I know too many of y'all to know that ain't true. Just be honest. Being honest with yourself means you don't have to argue people on the internet about it because you're being honest with yourself. That's what you're doing. That's what you're doing. Call a spade a spade. Don't act like you over there looking for Cinderella because you're not.
It's Maria. It's going over looking for Maria. But
Maria.
Yeah, Maria.
Maria Van Trapp, because that means she was a maid who met a baron. If y'all watch The Sound of Music, that's what she was. Maria was a maid who met a baron with a lot of money and wound up marrying the baron. So if that's what you're doing, that's what you're doing. Just be okay with what you're doing.
Gotcha.
Don't be offended.
Yes. Stand in
the you got holes in different area codes. Just understand that's what you're doing.
10 toes down. But yeah, she was definitely on point with that. This wave is causing a lot of issues in I think we talked about Portugal, Mexico
Bali.
City, Bali, Medellin is happening. It's happening in Colombia too, especially Medellin. They've actually put up posters saying "Gringo Go Home."
Brazil. Remember the young man in Brazil who one of you PBs got caught up in Brazil and brought some bad press to people who are traveling to Brazil to support the local community in the way in which you just said.
Yeah. But I mean, with the Gringo Go Home was about the um, oh, the Gringo Go Home is more of like, they're raising the rents. Our good friend D was talking about that as well recently on her Instagram, and it's somewhat not. I mean, the landlords see an opportunity to make some money,
Oh
and
yeah.
we as people, I mean, we don't understand the difference of it. We just understand that it's cheaper than where we came from, Chicago, Atlanta, New York, where $500 for an apartment is like, whoo, this is nice.
Yeah.
But the average rent, the average monthly income for a person, I think Columbia's like $300. So it's already 30% over their or 40% over their monthly income. So that's why you have a lot of these families there together in one house, like five of them in a 2 bedroom.
Yeah.
Um,
The thing of that she said about capitalism and tying into what you just said is, I think there are those people who, just like what she said, are looking for new ways to kind of, you know, still work, um, and use the confines of capitalism in other areas. But I think a majority of the people, the majority of the people are doing it because they understand that they have to work, right? The world has made it so that in order to survive, to live, to exist in the world, you have to bring in capital that you can then use to obtain housing, food, healthcare, basic necessities, right? The world has made it that's a requirement. So I think a lot of people are looking for ways that they can survive without having to make that the primary goal, which is to live abundantly in that kind of society, right? They just want to live and be comfortable and not have to
mhm, mhm.
struggle to the extent that they may be struggling here in the U.S. Um, but I think there are those. I mean, when I think about all the people who go to like temples and sacred places and disrespect them, or like she said, just isolate themselves with expat community, like that's just in their nature. That has nothing to do with because they're in another country. That's just how they are wherever they go. They don't want to be, they other everybody, right? They're them not learning the culture and them not learning the language is because they always see people as other than themselves. So
Yeah, I really hate being in expat communities. I like to be in the barrios, which
yeah,
is
I'm,
sometimes
I'm with you.
yes, um, but you have to know how to move in the barrios, because sometimes you could be a somewhat of a target, but because they know you're a
Yeah,
foreigner,
but
they see you as
yeah, and I understand why some people stick to the expat communities because you none of those people, right? But
mhm,
I think the more you expose yourself to the community and the culture, the more, especially if you're doing it long term, because she was talking about people who do it long term, right? She wasn't talking about people who are on short term basis. She's talking about people who do it long term. I mean, at some point you've been there 3 weeks, you can acclimate yourself to a point where, you know what I'm saying, you're starting to learn who's in your local neighborhood, and you know what I mean, like you start to
mhm.
build that community.
Yeah,
um
yeah, yeah. I
and
think my guy,
don't make that effort to do that. They don't make an effort to do that. They want to remain in the box of expats in which they meet abroad, and that's where they're comfortable. They're not comfortable, but they're never going to be comfortable because they've othered other people. You know what I'm saying? They've othered people unlike like themselves.
yeah, I think of my guy Carlos that we had. He he actually popped up on the channel. It wasn't an actual feature, but I need to get him on here because he did what we're talking about over the pandemic. Like this guy would have like these big barbecue. He's still doing them. Like he will go and buy what you can buy for $40 would probably break out to like $250 worth of meat here in the States. And he would have all these barbecues and have all these people of his girlfriend house, which he just got married. Salute to Carlos. He's one of the.
Oh yeah, Carlos. Yeah, he did just get married.
You know Carlos? Do you know?
Oh, you're on Instagram? Yeah, I follow him on Instagram. We follow each other on Instagram.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That him speaking about that with saying that he's good in his hood because people know him as Carlos, the guy who did everything for the hood. So they gonna protect him. Like, nah, he off limits. You know what I'm saying? So I like the way he did that over time, which most people are not, especially Americans, are not gonna move like that in a foreign country normally. So salute.
Yeah, like the one kid that became that left Jersey and went to Brazil and became a musician and is well known, right? Like, I mean,
yes,
like, that's dope because he acclimated, he learned Portuguese, started rapping in Portuguese. Like that's committing to I'm going to move here because it gives me a better life, and I'm going to become a part of the community that I'm moving to. So she's not talking about us. Let me reiterate that because we build community.
Mm-hmm.
We build community because that's the way we were raised. We were raised in the community. So it's only natural for us to find a way to build community if that's our intent, right?
Right.
We have some exceptions.
Yeah, even what's her name? Regine with she did the toy drive in Brazil.
Yep.
For Christmas, and I think I gave her like $20 or so to that drive, and she had a great turnout with that. Sent a lot of toys to this favela that she was near or knew of or whatever, and that's what it's all about right there. Was that just a drop in the bucket for most Americans, and you don't understand how much that impacts communities across the world.
Yeah. And I think you do have to be mindful as a traveler or digital nomad or whatever, you tourist. You need to be mindful of where you're going and the customs and the culture in which you're going to be in. Especially if you're staying in an Airbnb and not staying in a hotel or a resort where you're going to be more isolated. Um, I think it's important that you are mindful of your impact. That's why I always make sure that I do Airbnb experiences with one in which I'm using local guides, two where there's something cultural involved, whether it's some kind of um, some kind of cultural outing, a little bit beyond just visiting monuments. If I get to go to their home or eat a meal with them, it really gives you an opportunity to understand the impact your tourist dollars or digital nomad dollars can have for that community.
Yes. And next, we're going to jump to the latest visa news. If you're trying to get up out of here, we got some new news for you. Coming out of the north, what do they call it? What is it? The North, October Moon, up there with Drake and them. If you want to go up with Drake and them, we got some good stuff going on in the news here. Let me play it for you.
Easy to gain permanent residency within the country. Let me explain. Canada is launching a remote work scheme to get digital nomads to come into the country. They're very much interested in international talent, especially in the tech space. So this visa will allow you to work remotely for up to 6 months for any foreign company while you're living in Canada. So they're hoping that if you come to Canada and work remotely, that you might actually seek out employers in Canada and stay permanently. Canada said, I want y'all to stay forever. And if you receive a job offer from an employer, you can just apply for a work permit. And that work permit can very well lead to permanent residency. Let me know in the comments, would you guys move to Canada? Like, how are you feeling about this digital nomad scheme? I see too often countries giving out these digital nomad schemes. And I'm not very surprised that Canada is also doing this as well. I've linked the details of the scheme below, and happy traveling. Canada is making.
Shout out to that creator for posting that. That was the first one I actually saw about Canada's new program. So shout outs to her for posting that.
Yeah.
Would you
as in if I would move, do that program. I like 4 seasons. I prefer a place with 4 seasons. But
I only 1 season.
I can't do that Canada, man. That cold a little different up there. So no, I don't think it's, and I've been to Montreal before. I really loved Montreal. You got to
like Toronto.
You got to get your French game going on, because a lot of people don't speak English. I mean, they speak English, but it's predominantly used more French. But yeah, it's just no, I wouldn't. I would
do it for 6 months in Toronto during the summer. But the second they get to them negative 40 degrees, yeah, I'm gonna have to holler at you later. I don't care how many underground tunnels you got. They can get me from point A to point B and avoid that negative 40, 50 degree weather. I can do it for 6 months. That's all I can commit to you. But permanently, now, I don't know how much longer. And plus, Canada, people be thinking Canada, when you think about places outside the U.S. that you would actually live, Canada ain't really too great on their black people neither. They're not really too great to black people.
I've heard that. I've heard that too.
So, you know what I'm saying? I'm like, Canada, you sound good and all, but, I understand that you also, you got your issues with black folks. So I think,
I've heard that too. And it's nothing really that I'm like, because I'm a nature guy too. Like, they have nice mountain sceneries, but there's nothing really like selling me to say, man, I got to get there. Or I mean, the food is about the same, other than like Montreal food was definitely European, like. But I think Toronto it would have to be Toronto possibly, because they have different cultures and different foods there. So
yeah, I mean, I like Carabana, but I think after Carabana, I have to bounce. Or the OVO festival. Once those things, once those things were over, I think it'll be time for me to go.
Yeah, and I think that's coming up in August too. But,
no, I think
July.
July. Yeah.
Yeah, July. Okay. Well,
I think it's next week.
Well, nonetheless, man, whoever interested in going to Canada, it is there for you.
They outside in Canada, y'all. They outside. Oh, it is in August.
I know it was like end of July, August, or something like that.
It's the first weekend in August this year.
Mm-hmm.
If y'all haven't been to Carabana, it's a carnival in Canada, in Toronto. And if you haven't been, you need to go, fellas. I'm really on y'all side, but I'm on y'all side when it comes to Carabana. If you haven't been, you need to go. As long as you're going to act right.
Yep. Got to act right.
You got to act right, because they will lock you up in Canada.
Right. Yep. Gonna lock you up. Well, that's it. That's all we have. That's all we have, folks. Yeah. Yes. Let's give it an applause here. And my applause can come on. Oh,
Great show as always.
yeah. Great show. Yeah, so we'll be back, man. We won't desert you anymore. We'll be back in 2 weeks with something on the plate, something hot. We still got some people to get back with us, and or we may bring some people back or whatever. You know, don't know. If y'all want to see somebody back, let me know.
Yeah, and maybe we should do a show when I'm in Colombia or Panama.
Oh, you didn't tell everybody. Hold up. Alert.
You know, I don't know some of your followers. You know, I have to be careful.
Yeah, you couldn't wait to hold that. You couldn't wait to get that out. What she like?
Shut up.
Telling it already. You let it out the bag. Since you don't let it out the bag, go ahead and tell the people now.
They don't know my dates, but I will be I'll be gone for a couple of weeks doing Colombia and Panama. So I'll be outside in August, y'all. So don't look for me nowhere because I'm not gonna tell y'all where I'm at. No content will be posted until I get back, in case there's some weirdos out there.
Okay.
And if you are a weirdo, just know I can fight. I have to say that so that don't try nothing. I can fight, like for real.
Okay.
But yeah, I'm excited. I'm looking forward. This will be my first time in Colombia. I've heard way too much about it, and I finally got off my tuchus and booked a trip. I'm going to be meeting two of our previous guests in South America. So I'm excited to link up with some guests, ladies. And huh?
So you're gonna meet more than 2. It's probably gonna be about 3 or 4 of them down there.
Yep. And you know, I'm excited to experience Colombia for my first time. I've been collecting and looking at a lot of you guys' content, including yours, even some of Brown Liquor Baron, although I had to look at some of y'all content like this. But yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what all the hype is about for myself.
Gotcha. Well, with that, that's the end, man. We appreciate y'all coming through, man. So we will talk with you all later, and we are gone.
BS3 Network, changing the way you watch TV.